Joining us now, speaking about good timing, is the campaign manager for Donald Trump for president. You just heard him in that montage. Campaign manager in New York, Corey Lewandowski, on our show. He's becoming a regular now. Hey, great to have you back with us, Corey.
Hey, thanks for having me on this morning.
Okay, so I'm a little fired up, so you might have to talk me off the ledge. But look, when you've got the front runner for the Republican nomination drawing 30,000 people at a football stadium in Mobile, and now you've got executives at the Virginia Republican Party attempting to concoct a rule to get him off the ballot. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, you know what it is? This is another clear indication of the establishment elites listening to themselves and not listening to the people. You know, when you go out and you travel with Mr. Trump, as I have a privilege of doing on a regular basis, and you see the people who come out, who listen to his message, who want to be proud to be Americans, who want to make our country great again, they don't care anymore if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you're an independent. They want a winner. They want someone who's going to put our country first. And the establishment elite, time and time again, have done things and said things that have been proven wrong. They've said Mr. Trump will never run. They say he'll never file his paperwork. They say he'll never be a serious candidate. His candidacy will flame out. Well, here we are 10 weeks after he's announced. He's been the clear front runner. He's at 32% in the most recent poll. He wins in numerous individual state polls. And what you see is time and time again, people are resonating to his message. They want to come. They want to hear it. They pack stadiums. You know, this is the complete antithesis of the establishment, which is, hey, let's have an event with 120 people, as we saw with Jeb Bush last week in New Hampshire, and then let's go see what Trump does and has 2,500 people. The people, the silent majority, is speaking, and people better pay attention.
So, getting back to this Virginia thing, Corey, how involved has the Trump campaign been on it, or was it news when it came out? You guys heard about this in the past?
Well, I mean, look, we talk to the state party officials in a number of states on a regular basis because obviously if you're not on the ballot, it's very difficult to win. And so we understand that. We have our game plan of how we want to be on the ballot. You know, did they contact us and say, you need to sign a pledge in order to put you on the ballot? The answer is no. Are they required to do that? Of course the answer is no. Look, we'll follow the rules, but I want to caution people. You know, as Mr. Trump has said, he said it during the debate. He has said it continuously. If he thinks he is not being treated fairly, then he is going to look at other options. If that's what he has to do to go and win and run for president of the United States. Now, that's not the first choice. We want to run as a conservative Republican, and we are the leading candidate in that field. But if the Republican establishment doesn't want Mr. Trump in the race, you know, that's a different story. So, you know, I just caution those party, quote, leaders who are out trying to change the rules now when there's really no reason to change the rules.
Well, I think that's the thing that's bothering many of us today, Corey Lewandowski, is they've already set the rules, okay? They've already changed the way to obtain ballot access for the primary statewide. They've changed the rules that it's a little bit easier for candidates to get on. We all know what happened to Newt Gingrich in 2012, and so we understand that. But to be then concocting a new rule in the middle of the game that is targeting one candidate who happens to be the leader, the front runner, I think is absolutely outrageous behavior. And look, the Republican Party of Virginia has tried to get me to sign pledges forever. Every time I participate in a convention or a primary, I got to sign a pledge. I'll sign anything. Okay? I'm going to vote for whoever I please. That's my constitutional right. And the Republican Party in Virginia should be trying to figure out how they can get more members and expand their message instead of what they're doing now, which is the exact opposite, which I think is outrageous. So if you're outraged like me, let me give you the number to call, 804-780-0111, 804-780-0111. I'm going to give you that again, 804-780-0111, or you can email them, info@virginia.gop, and say, no pledges, don't change rules in the middle of the game. Okay, I want to get to the new Reuters poll that just came out showing Donald Trump at 32%. Everybody was saying that 25% was a ceiling. He couldn't go over that. Now he's at 32%. Explain that one.
Well, again, I hate to sound like a broken record on this stuff, but the political pundits, the establishment class has come out many, many times and said, Mr. Trump is at his ceiling. He's at 25%. He can't get any higher than that. He's tapped into a vein of the electorate, but that vein is fairly small, and as other candidates dissipate, Mr. Trump's numbers will go down in the polls. That is actually the exact opposite of what is happening. Mr. Trump's numbers continue to go up. He is the highest of any candidate on record so far with 32%. And then if you look even at the YouGov poll, which just came out, which shows a truncated field. So they took the top three candidates, Trump, Bush, Carson. They said, let's get rid of the other 14 in the race. If just those three candidates are the remainder, who would you vote for? 44% of the people in the three-way race say Trump. 2 out of every 3 people now in the latest poll, 2 out of every 3 Republicans say Mr. Trump not only is going to be the nominee, but is going to win the election next November. So this drives the political pundits crazy. What they don't want is they don't want a Donald Trump who is not beholden to them, who is not beholden to the donors. They don't want that because they are so afraid that they can't control him and decide that they want favors, that they will do and say anything to stop this campaign from moving forward.
Even you look at the Virginia GOP, the Jeb Bush Political Action Committee gave the Virginia GOP $10,000. I mean, it just makes you ask the question, as part of that driving it. You just have to ask that. That's the problem with the system that we have. And you don't have to comment on it, but you got to ask the question.
Well, let's look at it, right? You've got Jeb Bush, who's got $114 million in a super PAC account, which supposedly he has no control over, and you and I both know that that's not the case. I'm sure they're coordinating every day, unfortunately. And what happens, what do these people get? They don't give money because they have an altruistic motive. Oh, it'll be a great America. That's not what they're giving for. They're giving to political favors. That's everything that's wrong with the system. That's everything that's wrong with politics. That's why people are so fed up. They're just tired of it. They're tired of those, small group of the minority that gets to control the majority because they have the means to do so. That's not what America was founded on. That's not what our country was about. That's not what our next president should be about. It should be what the will of the people is, and not a few select donors who have the ability to write 100,000, 200, 500,000, $1 million or more checks. That's not what our country should be about, and we shouldn't have politicians who are beholden to those individuals so that they can get money from them.
Corey, I want to go to your Mobile, Alabama rally on Friday night. The Mobile authorities estimate you had about 31,000 people there at a football stadium on a Friday night. Some people lining up as early as 6 a.m. What is happening out there?
It was an amazing experience. When you think about this, we planned the event on Monday morning. We announced it to the media on Tuesday. We had over 30,000 people with us on Friday night to listen to a message of Make America Great Again. These aren't the millionaires and billionaires that are giving to Jeb. These are hardworking Americans. Those people who came out at 6 o'clock in the morning to get a great spot, it's so humbling. They became friends. If you look at the Washington Post, actually did a very good story on it. They said it's more like a rock concert where people get there early, they tailgated. They just want to be proud of their country again. And who can blame them? Who doesn't want to be proud of where you live? Who doesn't want our country to be the greatest country in the world that lives here? So these people were just amazing people. They came out. They were so fired up. They were so energetic, and it was such a humbling experience having the privilege of going in and seeing 30-plus thousand people, not only in the stands, but on the floor, on the ground, on the football field, when they could be doing other things. They came because they want to make our country great. They want to support the message, and it's so humbling to see that. And I'll tell you, it was just a really great event for us.
Well, it was amazing to get that many people there on a Friday night in Mobile in 100-degree weather when, people just had other things to do. So, look, when you are able to do that, that's called a movement. And I've said this in the past. I haven't seen this since the spring of 76 when Reagan caught fire. I haven't seen anything like what you have right now. Now, by the way, just so that everyone knows, I was the first person in the media to predict that Donald Trump would be the nominee. I just want to throw that out there. Again, so far I'm right. I want to get to Michigan. A poll coming out last night showing Donald Trump beating Clinton in Michigan. Now, doesn't that say that your appeal is such that it's going into blue states now?
Well, it's exactly what it says. And, we were in Michigan a few weeks ago, in Bertrand, Michigan, where Mr. Trump had thousands of people come out and listen to his message. This is a state that's been decimated by bad trade deals, by a downward economy that, was absolutely decimated the auto industry. And what you find is, in states like this, where they want a leader on the economy who can bring jobs back, Mr. Trump's the clear front runner. And that allows us to be in states that traditionally Republicans cannot win, states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, or some of those more blue-collar states that have tended blue in the last presidential elections. Mr. Trump's appeal is so broad and so vast, particularly with the working class people, the people who are not the elites, because they love his message. It allows us to be involved in states and to go and win states that Democrats have traditionally held and have counted on, and that changes the entire dynamic of a presidential election. And I think it's a true testament to his message.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, when you start winning states like Michigan, something's happening out there. Mr. Trump has come under fire for his immigration plan. Not that it doesn't make sense, but many people saying that, well, it sounds good on paper, but you just can't implement it. Look, you're not going to be able to put up a wall. You're not going to be able to get 12 million people out of the United States. It's cost prohibitive. It isn't. Jeb Bush says it isn't conservative. It isn't a conservative plan. How do you respond to that?
Well, Jeb Bush and others are in favor of what they call amnesty, meaning if you've come to this country illegally, you can stay. We'll make you a U.S. citizen. It's okay. You don't have to follow our rules. Mr. Trump fundamentally disagrees with that. There are rules in place. There's a process in place to come to this country legally. The first thing we need to do is we need to stop illegal immigration. People who are coming into our country, having anchor babies or breaking our laws, taking our jobs from hardworking Americans who should have those jobs in the first place. Once you stop that with a wall, you have a big door in that wall. And say, look, if you're in the country illegally, you need to go out. You need to go back to where you're from. We will deport you. And if you have been a good, solid person and a productive member of society, there is a path for you to come back into the country. We'll help expedite that. But we cannot do that if you come here illegally. The bottom line is this. In 2013, this country spent $113 billion on illegal immigration. That's the cost of our schools, our healthcare system, all the infrastructure associated with that. Supposedly, a wall is going to cost 1 year. 1 year of what we spend on enforcing illegal immigration is what the wall costs. Now, I'm not a business guy. I'm just a campaign guy, and I don't know anything about numbers. But if I could have a 1 year return on something to stop illegal immigration from coming in, I think it's a good investment. And if you ask those families who we've had the opportunity to meet with about what they think, because they have become victims of illegal immigration, they will tell you there is nothing more important in our country than stopping the flow of illegals coming in.
Jeb Bush right now is saying that when we talk about birthright citizenship, he's changed, like Scott Walker, he's kind of changed his position on it. But now what he's saying is that, he first said that it's a toxic word. Then he said it was okay. Now he's saying he means Asian babies. What's the deal with this?
Here's the problem. Well, what this all comes down to is the pollsters, right? Should I say this? Should I not say that? We saw Scott Walker say, I'm in favor of Mr. Trump's plan. No, I'm opposed to Mr. Trump's plan. I can't take a position on Mr. Trump's plan. You're running for President of the United States of America, the highest honor in our land, and you can't take a position on something? That is fundamentally wrong. It tells us you're not ready for prime time. We've seen this with Jeb Bush. He doesn't know if he's for the Iraq War before he's against the Iraq War. Jeb Bush is saying, well, I don't know about these anchor babies. It's a pejorative term. Look, we need to stop being politically correct in this country. We need to put our country first. We need to make sure that we have a border, we have walls, we have security. You know what our people, I think, in this country want, in my opinion? They want a safe place to live. They want a good job, and they want to be able to be taking care of their own families. I don't think those are crazy things. And if we don't start doing that for our country, we don't have a country anymore. It's time to put America first. Put our people back to work. Let our people who are here have the best opportunities. Why is this so foreign to these political leaders who want to be president of the United States? I don't understand it.
Well, I tell you what, Corey Lewandowski, we're the only country in the world that puts the interest of foreigners ahead of its own citizens with its immigration policy. It's really outrageous. Look, I'm almost out of time. I've got John Whitbeck on at 9:05 today. 15 seconds. What would you like me to say to John Whitbeck?
Well, I'd like you to say that, Donald Trump is going to be on the ballot in the state of Virginia. We're going to carry the state of Virginia. And it's very important for him to remember, as with everybody, that Mr. Trump is the front runner, and we want to be treated fairly and in the same manner that you treat everyone else. That's what we ask for.
That's going to be the final word. For more information, go to DonaldJTrump.com. DonaldJTrump.com.